Hopefully it works. I apologize. It is up and it's running. If you're listening to chat or if you're watching from anything other than YouTube, Facebook, and you want to chat with me directly, you have to go to YouTube and Facebook to do it. I can sometimes see it if I'm monitoring all on X, either mine or KLRN, but I don't always have it up. I get so many other screens going on that I don't have it up. So if you want to send me a direct message, you can go to our YouTube, SHR Media, we'll be live, or Facebook, SHR Media again, and Twitch. You can actually send me a message through Twitch as well. And it'll come across my little board here and I'll answer it and everything will be fine. So, Democrats. Democrats have proven themselves to be that narcissistic ex-girlfriend, boyfriend, friend, family member, whichever person that you've pushed out of your life. And let me explain why. When you're ending a relationship with somebody, and not saying that you're completely absolved of any fault, but the other person has clearly gone out of their way to be narcissistic and control everything. And when you start calling them out, when you start calling them out, they start freaking out and they start getting angry. And then they get mad at you for pointing out what they've done in the past or what they're doing in the present. They don't like to be called out. And it's exactly why you're seeing Democrats act how they are now. They're being called out. As I said before, and other people have said it before, they're attacking all of the process that's being done by DOGE and others to save you money, to save me money. Who is against? Honestly, who can possibly be against making sure that our money is not being wasted and thrown away and not sometimes not knowing where hairy balls not knowing where it's going, right? So who has an issue with that? Who has an issue with saying, hey, we've known for years that we throw money out the door of this country to other countries without thinking twice about it. Many of us have said, hey, where is this money going and why don't we always know? And how come our dollars keep showing up in places we don't want them to be? Well, we know why. We knew why. It's not hard to figure out that government has been giving your tax dollars away, my tax dollars away to other countries for things that both we know and don't like and don't know and probably wouldn't like, i.e. destabilization. We do it. Libya. Look at Libya as a recent example. We destabilize other countries, sometimes the CIA, and as we've seen with USAID, sometimes it's through other means, but the end goal is the same. I'll tell you right now, Americans don't like that by and large. Well, the Americans who don't think that we should be the world police and controlling the world. And now all of that's being exposed. All of it's being shown to you. And the Democrats are freaking out over it. And I'll tell you, it's borderline psychosis, really. And they're starting to take to methods that I really thought, and I'm not kidding. You know, you want to make your little stance in front of Congress, in front of the White House. You want to go to all these different buildings and put a podium there. You notice how there's always a podium showing up at these like impromptu press conferences. They have a podium. Who else brings a podium with them but Democrats? But and that's fine. You know, you want to go onto the news media, that's fine. But these tactics they're about to show you here, I think it goes too far, and it's evil. This is evil. This is horrible, and this is something that no political party should really be a part of. But the Democrats do it without any problem.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Tell me, which side are you on? Which side are you on? We'll fight against Doge. We'll fight Elon Musk. No Elon scab within our walls. We'll fight from dawn to dusk. Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on?
It's horrible. This is just horrible. Why would they do this to the American people? The damage that's being done here. I don't know who ever told Democrat politicians and or protesters that they were at all talented and musical, but whoever you are, do me a favor, shut the fuck up, because they are not. This reminds me of the scene in Blazing Saddles where the governor turns around and says, we have to protect our phony baloney job people. This is exactly where it's at with them. Anything. They wrote a goddamn folk song because of Doge. Do you know how possessed you have to be to write a folk song to begin with? Never mind about Doge. It's just unbelievable. And they practiced. They got together in a room before they went on camera and they practiced. And then they want you to take them seriously. This is, it's amazing. And what kills me is, on top of just horribly offensive takes on music and really attacking choirs as a whole, which is what that did. I think it was trans choir. I'm not sure exactly what they identified it as. But then you have other members of the Democrats in Congress who are taking different steps, like this one. Like this one.
I want to hear why, but do you think that calling Elon Musk a dick is effective messaging for confronting what is a potentially irreversible transformation of the U.S. government?
Well, he is a dick. And I think that he's also harming the American public in an enormous way. And what I think is really important, and what the American public want, is for us to bring actual weapons to this bar fight. This is an actual fight for democracy, for the future of this country. And it's important to push back on the chairperson of this committee. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene talks about having democracy for the future of this bar fight. This is for us. And what I think is really important, and what the American public want, is for us to bring actual weapons.
You see, ladies and gentlemen, it's amazing to me what they will get away with. Can you imagine the outrage, fake outrage, we all know that, but the outrage that would be produced if that role was reversed. They want us to bring actual weapons. Look, I don't care. I don't care that he calls Elon a dick. If he thinks Elon is a dick, that's fine. I'll tell you what, Elon is kind of a dick, but in a good way. I have plenty of friends who are dick. I'm a dick sometimes, right? It just has to happen. What is amazing is usually people that are called dicks are called dicks because they're being honest about something that other people don't like. And then Elon Musk went and did something like this. He changed his name to Harry Balls. So CNN would have to say it. And they did. And this is just, I'll tell you, the amount of trolling that is going along with all of the serious work that's being done is amazing to me. How this guy, and I get it, like he is sleeping on the floor of all these buildings that they're working in. He's sleeping there. And they're busting their ass. They are busting their ass to go through everything and try to make sure that every I is being dotted, every T is being crossed, and he still has a chance to master troll media, and he does it. And it blows my mind that they buy into it, and they buy into it every single time. It's just my favorite thing. So Democrats aren't taking this well, as we expected them not to. And one of the things that's amazing is there was a hearing today, I think it was today or yesterday, on Capitol Hill, talking about regulations.
I'm also an
And
author.
they bring in and invite this entrepreneur who I'm going to play in a second. But as she's getting ready to talk, Raskin, both are true, went on this anti-Elon rant. You know how they do when they have their look, when it's a committee meeting for something that they don't want to talk about, they don't ask questions, they use their time to diatribe and just spit out everything they can for as long as they can while they have their time. It's their bully pulpit. It's all they have and it's what they do. So they invite this young woman on. They're talking about regulation and government. And Foreskin goes on this rant and does not even ask her a question or allow her to really interject. And hold on one sec. There it is.
We really need to hire a fourth branch of government called Elon Musk to go out and do it for us.
My name is Magat Wade. I'm a Senegalese American entrepreneur. I've been living in the US since 1998, and I became a US citizen in 2018. I'm also an author of The Heart of a Cheetah, a book that talks about African entrepreneurship and prosperity. Mr. Raskin, your words earlier really, really worried me, and I will tell you why. When you say we are here and we should be here to talk about Mr. Elon Musk and all the unconstitutional things that he's doing, and you said we shouldn't be here to talk about regulation or anything like that, first of all, I want to say, then why did you have me here? As an entrepreneur, my time is valuable. I came here because I thought we were going to talk about the regulatory state and why it matters.
Good
so
for you.
You need to make up your mind on that. And I'm deeply offended by what you said there. Furthermore, I would tell you why I came when I was invited to speak on this. Because right now, everybody in this country, these issues of regulation, overregulation, has been made into a matter of partisanship. Are you from the left or are you from the right? I don't care. Because where I come from, the overregulation causes us to be where we are. My continent, Africa, is the poorest region in the world today because it happens to be the most overregulated region in the world. So if you don't see the value of overregulation, if you need and want to wait until this country becomes like most African countries, I don't know. I love this country and I don't want to see it go down there. And also, just so you know, what does overregulation mean for regular people? It means death, literally. People are packing themselves into little fishermen's boats, trying to leave nations that are overregulated, therefore no jobs, and then they have to leave and go seek jobs someplace else.
We really need.
She did a great job. I cut just literally 1 second off. But she pointed out two amazing things. First and foremost, she called out Jamie Foreskin for going on his little anti-Elon rant that we all knew he was going to do, but I'm glad she did it. The other thing that she did, she shows you what real Americans are concerned about, what real Americans are worried about, what real Americans have to deal with through the course of their life and business. Regulations, look, we talk about regulations a lot on our side of the aisle and how over-regulation is horrible. When was the last time you saw a conversation about regulation on Capitol Hill that wasn't pro bigger and more involved regulations? And when was the last time they had a speaker who was anti-regulation? These changes may seem subtle, but they're important. They're important. And I applaud her for not only becoming a citizen of this country, not only being an entrepreneur and an author, not only going and sitting in front of this committee and speaking, but for speaking truth to Raskin and for speaking truth about the overregulation in this country that stifles business and where we could end up if we do not do something about it. So we have a Democrat who was bodied right there in front of everybody Dare I say it was close to a proverbial murder. And then we have another Democrat speaking about manufacturing. And ladies and gentlemen, this one's important. Let me show you.
Yesterday, I met with a manufacturing company, but they also are engaged in getting young people more engaged in manufacturing. So I asked them, so how many of those students that are signing up and want to do this, how many are women? And they said, well, I know there's at least 13% or something. It was a low number. And you had mentioned trying to engage more women in manufacturing. I'm just wondering if just the name manufacturing sounds like a guy. Yesterday,
That's
I met
probably the
with
problem. That's a good point she brings up. It's the title that's the problem, not what manufacturing actually is. Look, folks, they've done studies, and this is not an anti-female segment whatsoever. They've done studies that by and large, I think it's like 60% of women, or it could be higher, do not want to do jobs like manufacturing. They don't want to do jobs like being a firefighter or law enforcement. They do other jobs, but not necessarily manufacturing. Look, there are interviews all over the internet, and I'm coming up on a break. There are interviews all over the internet where people interview women and say, would you do this job? Would you do this job? And women, by and large, say, no, I don't want to do that. That sounds horrible. I don't want to be in a sewer all day. I don't want to be manufacturing. Is that all women? No, but a majority of the women. And guess what? The women that want to get into those industries and manufacturing and public safety, whatever, they can do that. Nothing is stopping anybody from doing that. Nothing. Other than the fact that they need to make political points and make women somehow seem unable to speak for themselves, which is why they say things like this at a hearing. Up against the break. We'll be right back. Please, wherever you're watching from, like, subscribe, share it, whether it's YouTube, X, Facebook, Twitter, what have you. Do me a favor, like and subscribe and share it. Be back.
Freedom. One nation in all of human history was built on that bedrock. Ours. A republic of the people, by the people, and for the people. Self-government requires freedom, just as freedom requires an individual willingness to self-govern. Freedom has made America exceptional, but it can only last as long as you and I seek the good, as expressed by the laws of nature and nature's God. It can only last if you and I choose to act as people of character. Forging character has been the pursuit of Hillsdale College since 1844.
Ever dream of escaping the daily grind? At Escapist Travel and Tours, we make those dreams your reality. From breathtaking adventures to cultural immersions, we offer escapes tailored just for you. Let us take you to places where every moment feels like a new chapter in your life's adventure. Visit www.escapist.travel or call us today at 1-855-885-81776. Your escape awaits.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? And check out 7 Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing, they're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic man of God. Wear your beliefs proudly with 7 Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com.
And welcome back to the Edge of Liberty right here on the SHR Media Network. Thank you for watching. Thank you to everyone who's in chat right now, throwing up all these chats. I'm trying to keep up with them. You guys are going so damn fast in chat. So we've talked about how well or unwell the Democrats are right now. So let's go to the other side of the aisle. Let's see what horrible things conservatives are doing, according to the
Well,
left. And
I think Putin couldn't be.
let's just see how we're approaching the situation of everything
on this
that's going
committee.
on in government
I got others.
compared to the left. That's what I'm really trying to say. Everything's fighting me
There's a
tonight.
competition in Congress. I think we should have a competition on this committee. I got $300 billion in savings proposed. We got to all pull our weight because we have such a massive problem right now. But I would just ask my colleagues across the aisle to get out of the way if you don't want to help. If you don't want to help right the fiscal ship in this country, get out of the way. Stop filing lawsuit after lawsuit. We do not have the financial ability to continue down this path. And we're going to save this country with or without you. You can kick and scream all the way, or you can get out of the way.
As I said earlier, if you were against opening up the books of this nation and finding out where all of our money is going, it is because you are afraid of what will be exposed. Plain and simple, end of list. That's it. That is it. And look, I'll tell you, I know they released one of the directives where they're pretty much shutting down all non-essential government for a short period of time until they get their handle on everything that is happening financially and in all these different government entities. And I know I've heard this week, I heard from a few conservatives that work in the federal government, and the approach that the administration took via the language they were using in the letters, essentially saying, hey, some people might get laid off, some things are going to get closed, whatever, was harsh. And it was. But what I said to all of them, it was a few, is understand it's not necessarily you that he's talking about. He's talking about all the useless people in government. The people who say, oh, it's the federal government, or, it's a federal job. What are they going to do? Get rid of me? Or the people who turn around and work extra overtime that's unnecessary just because, well, it's not my money, it's taxpayer money, yada, yada, yada. I've talked to you before. We all know the bad public employees. If you're an employee and you heard about this, he's not talking to you. Yeah, did he use a broad brush just to paint all of you? Yeah, because by and large, government in this country is being run poorly, and we don't know where the waste is coming from. But they're going to find it. So there are good employees who work in the federal government. I know that for a fact. There are good employees that work for the federal government. Just hang on. They're not talking about you. And you know who the bad employees are. We all knew who the bad employees are. I am old. I did get old. And they need to be exposed and removed. So I ask you, if you're one of the good folks that work in our federal government, just keep doing what you're doing. It's going to work out in the end. I believe it will work out in the end. One of the other great stories, and I get more clips. I have clips from Tulsi being sworn in. I get a whole bunch of other clips. But one of the things that's amazing that we see now, one of the things that's enjoyable that we see now, is the media just being bodied on a regular basis in the White House press room, and deservedly so.
I have a thing for you. Which White House official made the decision to bar the AP reporter from the Oval Office?
and the diplomatic reception room last night?
Well, first of all, let me just set the record straight. It is a privilege to cover this White House. It's a privilege to be the White House press secretary. And nobody has the right to go into the Oval Office and ask the President of the United States questions. That's an invitation that is given. And there are hundreds of outlets on this campus, many of you in this room who don't have the privilege of being part of that pool every single day and getting to ask the President questions. We reserve the right to decide who gets to go into the Oval Office, and you all have credentials to be here, including the Associated Press, who is in this briefing room today.
But isn't it retaliatory in nature is the argument, because the reason that the AP was barred, which they said was because they're not using the phrase Gulf of America, they're using Gulf of Mexico in line with their standards. And so the question here is this setting a precedent that this White House will retaliate against reporters who don't use the language that you guys believe reporters should use? And how does that align with the First Amendment commitment that you were just talking about?
I was very upfront in my briefing on day one that if we feel that there are lies being pushed by outlets in this room, we are going to hold those lies accountable. And it is a fact that the body of water off the coast of Louisiana is called the Gulf of America. And I'm not sure why news outlets don't want to call it that, but that is what it is. The Secretary of Interior has made that the official designation in the Geographical Identification Name Server. And Apple has recognized that. Google has recognized that. Pretty much every other outlet in this room has recognized that body of water as the Gulf of America. And it's very important to this administration that we get that right, not just.
It is just amazing to see media get put in their place. Now, look, by the way, nobody said they can't ask questions. Nobody said that they're kicked out entirely. And I saw this too with, what was it, CNN, that was kicked out of the Pentagon, and they were throwing a hissy fit, and a couple other ones. Look, first and foremost, it is a privilege to be press and allowed in for these meetings. It's not saying that you can't report whatever you want to report and say whatever you want to say. You can. We have freedom of the press. You have the right to address government. You have the right to speak out against government. Nobody is stopping you from doing that. What we're saying is we're no longer going to fund it. You're no longer going to be funded for attacking America, or in general, for doing a journalism, so to speak. And just because you are legacy media and you've been around forever does not mean you get to stay. Why is this important to somebody like me and KLRN and SHR and everybody else, who's even the ones who are not involved with us, who have these little outlets that we do our shows on? It's because for years and years, legacy media, along with the internet social media companies, did everything they could to silence us, to keep us from getting to people who may be interested in what we have to say, and from keeping us from growing. And you're seeing some of the smaller outlets starting to gain steam. That's great. Even the ones that I don't necessarily agree with. I think it's great that there's a different level of access. I think there's great that it's a different status quo than it once was. You have the right to speak out against government, yes, but it is a privilege to be invited in certain places, vetted, and allowed to ask questions, as at these press conferences, or to have your special little seat in the Pentagon or in the White House or wherever. You're not entitled to those positions. Now, the other thing too, if you haven't been watching these press secretaries, or these press conferences, I should say, is the press secretary still taking questions from opposition media, more so than her predecessor did. As somebody else put in the, and I think it was Red Blue Cynic put in, you don't see the binder. Nope, you don't see the binder. You see somebody who's able to answer, and that doesn't mean she doesn't ever have notes in front of her. Nobody goes out there without notes. One of the biggest differences that you do not see that we saw with her predecessor is question gets asked, Hold on, I have to look up the answer. This is what I'm allowed to tell you. End of list. And it's become more lively, but it's also become more informative. That's the thing that I think has been great about these press conferences. They're actually informative. Look, you talk about transparency. We've seen more live video and unstaged speeches from Trump in what, 23 days? I think we're at the 23-day mark. Than we saw from Biden in 4 years. I'm not kidding. You see Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, taking a bunch of questions. Pete Hegseth's taking a bunch of questions. The administration is being very obviously more transparent than what was there prior. Why is that? Because that is what the American people voted for. Just like we voted for DOGE. We voted for Elon to rip the government apart so we know where our money is going. We also voted for transparency. We voted for the changes that we are seeing. Is it all coming at once? No. I said 2 weeks ago or last week, it's going to be uncomfortable in this country for a little while. That's okay. Change is uncomfortable. That does not mean that change is bad. And that includes with who has access and who doesn't to the media. I applied for White House press credentials because why not? The odds of them picking me, slim to none. I know that. Tiny fish, huge ocean. The trade-off is maybe I could be. And there are other people who were in my position not too long ago who did get press credentials. It has changed. The people have more access to the White House press room, to the Pentagon. We have more access. They're being transparent in DOGE. They're being transparent. These are the things that we want. So how do Democrats try to fight this? They hate it all. We saw that earlier. They are pissing their pants on a level unseen. Seriously, the amount of adult diapers, the sale percentage must have gone through the roof recently in Washington, D.C. So what's their act? What are they doing? Well, you get this. And this, my friends, is from this whole system. I'll tell you, the cat jacked something up. I can't open up certain things the right way. This is the Senate Democrats whistleblower. What they said is essentially, if you see wrongdoing and misdeeds in the government, by the way, there's already whistleblowers. We already have a whistleblower system in federal government that's not vetted by the Senate Democrats. We have a whistleblower system in place. There's rules. They have been used time and again. That's not what this is. Chuck Schumer put this out. This is, if you want to cause hell and give us a graphic that we can send to CNN and say, see, this is what's happening in the Trump government, and this is totally unvetted, this is the website portal that you want to use to do that. In other words, if you're angry liberal working in federal government and you don't like the changes being made, go to this website, type up some bullshit, and then we're going to send it to the press and hold a press conference. See, we have this and we have that and we have this. This is unnecessary waste. We talk about how Democrats love to spend money. They made this website that's unnecessary because we have a federal whistleblower protection act. And by the way, as is being talked about in the chat room right now, if you want a laugh, and I mean a good laugh, when Chuck Schumer posted this, I think it was 2 days ago, the amount of trolls that took part in baptizing this website was delicious. It was incredible. It was hysterical. I'm not going to steal their thunder. Go look up Chuck's tweet. Go look up the responses because people were putting screenshots of what they put A lot of it was wasting federal money, and they all just said the Democrats in general. However, there were some absolute geniuses in there. It is worth your time. Speaking of wasting money, before we go to break, we all know that DHS and FEMA sent all that money to New York hotels. What was it, 58 million to house illegals? That money's been glommed back, as it was announced today. And Mary Comans, who is the chief financial officer for FEMA, was fired for sending that $58 million and ignoring the directive by the White House, i.e. President Trump. She was told not to spend the money, not to send the money, rather. And she did it anyhow. And now she got fired. And that's going to bring me into the segment I'm going to go into after the break about how leftists are doing everything they can to disrupt what is being done in the White House. They're not doing what they're supposed to do, which is follow the directive of the executive branch. Congress, politicians like that, they have the right to go stomp their feet, yada, yada, yada. And the left employees have the right to stomp their feet and sing their songs. They have that right, but they still have to follow the directives, especially if they fall under the executive and it comes directly from the executive. So we're going to talk about that when we get to break, and who knows what the hell else will come up with. I get so many clips, and I probably won't get to, as BZ said, half of them. Be right back.
Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Attention, all patriotic women of faith. Yep, I'm talking to you, sis. Are you looking for high-quality, super soft apparel that reflects your love for country and your devotion to God? Look no further than Carry Girl Gear. Picture this. You rocking a tee so soft it's like being hugged by a cloud, all while showing off your love for God and country. Sounds dreamy, right? Well, welcome to reality, babes, because that's what we're all about here at Carry Girl Gear. We specialize in super soft tees, tanks, and more, designed specifically for the strong, patriotic woman who proudly wants to carry their message of faith and freedom. When you shop with us, you're not just getting a t-shirt. You're joining a community of like-minded women who are proud to wear their beliefs straight on their tees. So whether you're sipping sweet tea on the porch or leading the charge for faith and freedom, do it in a Carry Girl tee. Because life's too short for stiff, boring tees. CarryGirl.com, where faith and freedom meets fashion.
Welcome back to the Edge of Liberty Radio on the SHR Media Network. It's the final 17 minutes. Look, Thursday's coming up quick tomorrow in the morning of Rick Robinson right here on SHR Media YouTube channel, Rick Robinson Radio Show. After that, you are going to have my good friend Big E, Mission Ready Men. That's 9 a.m. Pacific, noon on the East Coast. Tomorrow evening, the bulbous, the round, the large, fluffy cloud-looking human being known as the Bloviating Zeppelin. BZ Saloon, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast. Then on Friday, do not miss Reverb Common Sense, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 on the East Coast. Trying to get caught up in chat, man. You guys are just, I love seeing the chat just fly. It's my favorite thing. And I'll tell you right now, as a host, it's awesome because especially you see people talking to each other, and then you see people sending messages to me or just comment in general. I'm just glad people are having fun. That's awesome. That makes me happy. So we were talking about all sorts of things going to the different breaks, but going into the break rather. I loved this because this tells you, as I used to say, in a world controlled by media. This is in a world where Democrats are losing their ever-loving mind. You have this happening. Feel the burn, maybe. Bernie Sanders heading to Iowa and Nebraska to rally voters against what he calls the oligarchy. A move that might signal a potential run for the White House. But Sanders is more likely paving the way for someone to follow in his footsteps. Let me translate this to you. I speak liberals. That is a panic button. They're hitting the panic button everywhere right now. And it is absolutely incredible to me. It warms the cockles of my heart. Or as Dennis Leary once said, the subcockles, the inner cockle, the lower cockle of my heart. But let's see what else they're doing to freak out. Well, there's a lot of leaks going on. It now appears that there are leaks from the FBI, not officially, but members inside the FBI, who are leaking ICE raids that are either upcoming or operations that are planned. And Tom Homan, my good friend Tom, is not happy about it.
Homan, Tom, where are these leaks coming from?
Well, look, we think it's coming from inside. And we know the first leak of Aurora is under current investigation. We think we identified that person under investigation right now. The California leak, Secretary Noem, she's correct. Some of the information we're receiving tends to lead toward the FBI. But I talked to the Deputy Attorney General all this weekend. They've opened up a criminal investigation. And they have promised that not only this person lose their job and lose their pension, they're going to go to jail. They're going to criminally prosecute. So we're all.
They're leaking where ICE is going to operate. Isn't that insane to risk the lives? And look, I'm telling you right now, if this is some administrative person who doesn't wear a badge and a firearm and has never had to go into a house or into a residence or seek somebody who is wanted by the law, it will make a lot more sense. However, if this is a badge-wearing, sworn, gun-wearing FBI agent that is leaking this and risking the well-being of the ICE agents and other federal agents that are going to enforce federal law, I want them perp walked. The administrative person should be perp walked too, because the outcome is the same. I totally get that. But it is more of a betrayal if it is somebody who understands the danger of going through that door. And I mean that. It's a difference. It is an otherwise huge betrayal. What else is the administration doing? Well, I love this. This was a wonderful thing too. This is just sanctuary cities. I know we're talking about ICE a little bit, so I'll go over to sanctuary cities really quick. The DOJ is going to start going after, it looks like, politicians in these sanctuary cities who are protecting illegal immigrants. This warms the cockles too.
President Trump has directed this to stop. And if you don't comply with federal law, we will hold you accountable. We did it to Illinois. Strike one. Strike two is New York. And if you are a state not complying with federal law, you're next. Get ready. President Trump has directed this to stop.
I absolutely love it.
And if
Get ready. Get ready. And look, I've said this before. Interfering with the federal investigation, still interfering with the federal investigation. It doesn't matter what local law you have. It's just never been pushed. It's never been processed. It's nobody's ever gone against it. It's just, oh, it's a sanctuary city. Okay. We won't do anything. LW's in the chat. Pick that up really quickly. Now they're saying, hey, if you're in a sanctuary city and you're part of government and you're intentionally hiding illegal immigrants, criminal aliens, if you will, we are going to come after you. And as we go on,
we're here
with Attorney General Bondi, which will make obviously what I'm guessing the gentlemen who are in my chat who are talking about it very happy. She goes on and she lays out exactly what they're going to do.
Here today because we have filed charges against the state of New York. We have filed charges against Kathy Hochul. We have filed charges against Letitia James and Mark Schroeder, who is with DMV. This is a new DOJ, and we are taking steps to protect Americans, American citizens, and angel moms, like the mom standing right behind me, who you're going to hear from in a moment. New York has chosen to prioritize illegal aliens over American citizens. It stops today. We're here to.
It stops, and it stops today, as it should. It should have stopped a long time ago. A long time ago. Yeah, everyone's talking about Bondi swearing in Tulsi Gabbard. I didn't read that all the way through, Wanderer. Yeah, that was an incredible moment. Yes, there's not enough females inside the Trump government, but yet that happened. And look, the message is being sent. Which side do you want to stand on when it comes to criminal aliens? When it comes to people like this guy right here. This guy right here is a Guatemalan illegal. Hold on. This is from Bill Malugin over at Fox. He was arrested in Framingham, Massachusetts, out the Mass Pike. Jose Fernando Perez has been charged with some horrific crimes against minors in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And it goes on and on. ICE has custody of him. Thank goodness. But one of the things that I've noticed, and I know I've talked about it on this show, and I know other people have talked about it, the amount of sexual assaults, sexual crimes that have been going on in Massachusetts by illegal migrants in a sanctuary state is absolutely out of control. It is non-stop. There's been a whole bunch of other criminal aliens arrested for various reasons, but the amount of sexual assaults that has been going on by criminal aliens is unfreaking believable. Just go through and search. It is disgusting. It makes me so angry at my former state, at the state that I grew up in. It is, gosh, it is just annoying. Somebody asked, now that she's on the team, does Tulsi have to dye her hair? I don't know if Tulsi has to dye her hair, but I'll tell you something. When it comes to hairstyles, I am no expert. When it comes to knowing what I like, I will say this. If you ever grew up watching or reading Marvel comics and there was a character called Rogue who plenty of young men had crushes on that were reading Marvel comic nerds, it's very reminiscent of her. Just saying. Some people don't like it. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it looks bad on her, but hey, what the hell do I know? Some good news. VA Secretary Doug Collins. He was from Colorado. He's a former House federal rep in Congress. He's embracing it. Look, we all know the VA is full of problems and needs to get fixed so it can take care of our veterans. That is, in my opinion, one of the most important things. The veterans need to be addressed and taken care of because they have been forgotten for far too long. And now, with a piece of new leadership like this gentleman right here, it looks like you now have a competent person going in the right direction.
Hey everybody, it's Doug again. I can't believe it. I've been here about a week. And you know the one thing that hadn't changed about DC? It's the media up here that like to tell you stuff that they want you to believe. I'm going to give you a breakdown. This is how it happens in the media up here. They take a possibility and then they run with a story because they want you to believe it because they got to write something. And they frankly, they don't know what to write because right now President Trump is making progress and this administration is doing what it said, making promises and keeping them. But let me tell you one that's right now. There's a one that's going around in the media right now about veterans benefits being cut. I'm the Secretary of VA. I'm going to tell you right now, that's not happening. They can do hypotheticals all they want. I'm telling you about reality. Reality is veterans benefits aren't getting cut. In fact, we're actually giving and improving services in our Veteran Benefits Administration. They're actually clearing cases quicker. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Good.
There's also this rumor out there that DOGE is out there, is this infamous thing that's going to take personal information and do that. I'm telling you what, we got DOGE representatives here that are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And that is looking at our contracts, making sure that we have the best run facility for efficiency to make sure who? The veteran gets the care they need. I'm happy to partner with them to find things that we need to get rid of so that we can put the money where it belongs. You know where that is? Back with our veteran. President Trump's hit the ground running. We've hit the ground running. And like I'm saying, if you want to come for the real truth, come to see me.
I like Doug Collins. I've always liked Doug Collins. I know Big E just said that in the chat room. I am a fan as well. And for our veterans, what a change over at the VA. And sure, he had his talking points and maybe he had a little board with to make sure he gets all of his bullet points. I keep notes. I have things up on my screen. When you're doing any sort of speech, it's good to have some reminders. Not everybody needs them, but some people do. It's fine. It's different, though, when you just need to have everything fed to you like we saw with Biden. But that's neither here nor there. One of the things I love about Doug Collins doing a video like this is, first of all, he's talking to the veterans. He's talking to the people that he served with and now he serves as the head of the VA. He's telling them, hey, this is what's coming. This is what we're doing to make sure that you get better service. And I can tell you, I had a couple of veteran friends that I know who've watched this video, and they all said the same thing. It's actually nice to be a veteran and have the VA talk to you and not down to you or give excuses to you. And a simple speech like this makes all the difference in the world. We go back to the transparency conversation that I had earlier in the show. This is transparent. Yeah. Does he work for Trump? Yes. Is he supporting DOGE because he works for Trump? I don't know. He could very well be supporting DOGE because he supports DOGE and happens to work for Trump. But the simple fact of the matter is he said, hey, look, we got to open our books and that way we make sure all the money is going to the right place, which is to our veterans. And that's where it belongs. That's where it's always belonged. Look, I'm a big believer that we should get rid of the United Nations as an entity. I don't want to be a part of it anymore. I think the United Nations is horrible, yada, yada, yada. My plan, and, I see a bunch of people who watched the old Sack Head show have watched tonight, Red Blue Cynic specifically joining this show for the first time, but I bet you Red Blue Cynic will remember me saying this at one time or another. You get rid of the VA, the UN, and you give that building in New York to the VA. You make it the largest VA hospital in the world that also has the ability to house the families of VA members if they need to be there for an extended period of time. And then you have all of your VA specialties, and we can bring them out to New York to be treated. You use that building that's in New York, that's occupied by nothing but people that take our money but hate our nation, and you turn it into the largest veteran care facility. Short-term housing for veterans trying to get back on their feet. You could have every program in the world. Oh, I did not steal that from you. I will tell you right now, BZ, I said this before you joined us. I said this 100 times over. Don't you dare accuse me of stealing this from you. But it just shows you that great minds think alike. I've been saying it for years. I said it on the old Sackheads years and years and years ago. And I truly believe that. It should be a shrine to the veterans who have served and sometimes and oftentimes given more of themselves than their physical scars even show. Well, BZ, I did not read your blog in 2004. I'm being scolded. Everyone says I'm stealing it. Oh, God. I'm being scolded on my own show by an old person or a couple of old people. Cheetah, send me a direct message at 2 Against Tyranny on X after the show, and I can give you an update. Or BZ to Biffsep. And I'll be happy to give you an update. He doing better, which is wonderful news. Our friend Lonnie Poindexter had a procedure, and he's on the mend. But folks, that's it for me. Look, I already told you tomorrow, Mission Ready Men, Rick Robinson Show, BZ, Friday, River of Common Sense. You can catch me. Please like and subscribe wherever you saw this show this evening. Please like, subscribe, share. If you catch the podcast, do the same for me, please. I will be back Monday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for participating. And thank you so much, BZ, for scolding me. Have a good evening.